How
How you doing, David?
I'm going really, really well. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us today.
Oh, of course. Thanks for interviewing me.
Not a problem. Well, mate, first of all, I've got to start off by asking, how did you become involved with this great new film? Because this is a film that a lot of Australian fans are really, really looking forward to. So, how did you become involved with this film?
I got lucky enough to get cast in this movie. My agents and managers, they sent me the script. I read it. I fell in love with it. And then I told them, I go, whatever it takes to get me in the room, because I am Dash. Nobody's going to play this character better than me. And so we got in the room, and I got in there I think two or three times until they finally made up their mind on casting me as Dash.
Well, what was it about Dash that made you want to play the role? Like, I know that with your own social media presence and the work that you've done there, that you were perfect for the role, but what made you want to play Dash so badly when you actually read it?
Social media aside, the whole premise of the fact that I'd be the comedic relief, I feel like that's how I've always been my whole life. During tough circumstances or troubling moments with people, I always figure out a way to make people laugh. And so when I used to watch movies where it was a serious part, and then you don't want it to be too serious, and then somebody makes you laugh, and your heart kind of flickers a little bit because there's a little bit of a positivity like thing going on. I always loved that. And so when I read Dash, I always knew he brightened up the room when people walked in. I always knew that when things were getting tough, he'd still make people laugh. And I could relate that character so much to me that I just felt like this is something that was meant to be.
When you are the comedic relief in a movie like this, does it put more pressure on you as a performer?
No, not even a little bit. It's just so natural. That's who I am as a human being. So honestly, it wasn't hard at all. It was just kind of being me in front of the camera.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that casting process. For the actors out there listening, what was that casting process like for you? Was it auditioning? Was it going in and just meeting with the filmmakers behind the film? How did you actually go about with that casting process?
So I got casted by Brittany, and she saw me for the first time in the room, and she fell in love with me as Dash. Brought me back, and when I came in, I kind of got a little nervous because I was in front of like the director, the producers, and again Brittany, and so I started trying to put like a little bit more than I did the first time, and I overthought the role, and then she actually interrupted me in the middle of my take, and she goes, "No, enough of that. I want you to show me who Dash is." And so I was like, "All right, fuck it, let's go." And so I just jumped back into the scene exactly how I am as Dash. And she's like, "That's it. That's Dash. That's who Dash is." So I guess if anybody would have taken note out of that, it was don't overthink it. You practice what you wanted to do. Don't worry about what they think. At the end of the day, they're either going to like you for the role or they're not. So just go in there, show them what you got, and if you guys are going to partner on that movie, then do that. And if not, just don't overthink it. The next role is going to be yours.
Yeah. You say don't overthink it, but what are you like though when you're walking in for an audition? Are you still someone that gets really nervous before an audition, or do you try and be confident when you go in there?
Uh, luckily I've never really been one to be nervous in circumstances. I just kind of not necessarily go with the flow. I just had a motto my whole life that works with everything, and it's I can do as well as I could do and work as hard as I could work, and then God will do the rest. So I really don't take things to heart if it doesn't go my way. I do my best, and if God wants me to take that route, then He'll open up that door. And if He doesn't, then it's no sweat off my back.
Yeah. You mentioned before when you read the script that you really wanted to play Dash because you knew you were Dash, but what else did you feel when you read that script? What was it about Follow Me that really stood out and made you think, I need to be in this movie?
The writing was something that I like in a scary movie. In a thriller, I don't like it to be cheesy. I don't like it to be something that you're like cringy about. Horror movies are so easy to go in that direction. And so when you watch something, you want to be proud of it. So when I read the script, I knew that, hey, if I was going to be a part of this movie, I'd be damn proud to be a part of this cast and crew. So let me make a phone call and see if I can get into the room. So yeah, I think it was the writing that kind of took me.
Yeah. Like I said before, this film is being really eagerly anticipated by horror fans here in Australia. Are you a horror fan yourself? And if so, what are the horror films over the years that have really stood out to you?
I love horror movies. I like Paranormal Activity type of stuff. I forgot what Insidious. I believe that's what it's called, Insidious, and the whole chapters with Insidious. I just love when movies, as if people are going to watch this movie, they'll see. I love when they take cinematics to the next level. I like how people are. I like when they're not lazy with it and they tell a story without words and the way it's shot. That captivates me. Because if you think about it, horror movie is based off of the situation. And a lot of times, it's a very quiet situation. So you're just kind of anticipating a lot. So I like when the art is done very beautifully. So while you're watching, you're actually like, wow, this is aesthetically very pleasing to me.
Yeah. Being a vlogger yourself, a lot of this movie would relate to you in a lot of different ways. Did you find yourself when you're reading through the script kind of going, yeah, that does happen, or no, that doesn't happen? Like, what was that like for you, being someone who was so close to the subject matter of this film as well?
I thought that the writer did a good job. I felt that Will really did jump into the mind of a vlogger, and he did understand what the process of being a vlogger was. And that's something that's really beautiful, because a lot of people, because when I started vlogging, a lot of people didn't look at it in the way that it should have. They kind of like looked down on it, or they looked past it as if it was nothing. But the way the writer captivated it was like, yeah, okay, finally somebody understands what it is. It's a very hard job. It's stressful on the soul, and it's stressful on the mind. And so when I read it and I realized that it did line up very much so with my life, that's when I was like, oh, this is great writing. They did their homework on it.
Yeah, I was going to ask that actually, because so often in a movie, a vlogger or a social media personality will be kind of laughed at or portrayed in a negative way. How refreshing was that for you to actually sit down and read a script where a character who is very similar to you was actually treated in a very different way to what Hollywood would normally portray them?
It's good, and it's refreshing. When I came to Hollywood through the entertainment field, I came in a different direction. A lot of people come there and they're like, oh, I want an agent and manager. But people didn't know that nobody wanted to work with me. Nobody wanted to have me as an agent, as a manager. Nobody wanted to represent me because it had nothing to show. I was a 22-year-old boy that didn't have anything that was underneath his belt. So I picked up the camera and I wrote my stuff, I directed my stuff, I edited my stuff, I acted in my stuff, just to prove to people that I'm worth being in this industry. Just give me a chance. So when I did walk into these rooms as like auditioning, I would see the initial eye rolling, oh, this guy's a YouTuber or blah, 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 because there is a bad spin on it, because we do have bad people in our industry, but we also have very hardworking, honest people in our industry. So now that we're kind of shining a light more towards the people that are working hard and actually making a solid career out of this, it's nice. It feels like I'm being respected instead of just belittled.
Exactly, yeah. And I know exactly how you feel, because I had the same thing here when I went from doing written film journalism into doing a podcast. At first it was kind of like, oh, well, you're not a real film journalist anymore because you're a podcaster. And it's like, it's heartbreaking to hear, because it's like, well, that's my life. That's my job. I work just as hard as you. So I know exactly how you feel.
Did you feel a little bit better now that everybody's jumping on that podcast wagon? You know what I mean? Like, you feel like you're ahead of the game. You know, like, everybody made fun of Christopher Columbus, but until he found that one gold area that everybody's like, oh, you know, like, he's great. Or when Michael Jordan, they didn't want him to play for the high school basketball because people overlook greatness. People they want to just keep going with what everybody's doing. They don't want to look at the newer side of field. So when you were like, you know, I'm going to take my journalism into being a podcaster, now people respect you because you're ahead of the game. You figured it out before other people did.
Definitely. And then those people who were criticizing then start coming to you for help, saying, oh, what kind of microphone should I use? Because now I'm considering doing podcasts as well. So it's a great big circle. I also wanted to ask, you mentioned before that Will's script was absolutely amazing. What was Will like to work with as a director?
Oh, man, I was actually just, I answered this. It was the best movie, because this is my first movie I ever did in my life. I've done TV shows, but I've never done a movie before. And I could count on my hands how many times I've actually been nervous. And this is probably like the third time in my life I've been nervous, because I went to a set where there was only professionals, only people that done this for their jobs. And so when I came, I was like, all right, we got a real director here. It's not like an internet director. And we have real actors here that are not internet actors. So I got to bring my A game. And he came to me, he grabbed my shoulder, and when he was directing me, he wasn't directing me as a director on a movie set. He became my friend. He understood how to direct me so that George Janko could do his best on set. And so it was really refreshing to be a part of something and have him make me feel so incredibly safe and comfortable that he drew the best out of me. He took it out effortlessly. So when I was working with Will, it was working with the director, but it was like working with one of my best friends.
Yeah. Well, mate, again, congratulations on such a fantastic film. I guess to finish off, is there anything you would like to say to people out there before they head out to see Follow Me in cinemas?
Bring extra underwear. Make sure you don't close your eyes. Experience the whole thing, and bring as many friends as you can, because it's going to be an experience.
Definitely. Well, George, again, congratulations on the film, and thank you so much for chatting to us today.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Not a problem, mate. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye.